Hello! I'd like to welcome you to 419 South Van Buren, here in Kirkwood, Missouri. This home is quite an old one. It was built in 1890, and we are quite a ways from St. Louis here. We are all the way at the western edge of Highway 270. So, this is not the oldest home in Kirkwood. In fact, much of this neighborhood was built around the same time. And this wasn't just built as a little sleepy village. Kirkwood was one of the first suburbs of St. Louis because it's on the Mopac rail line. So in 1890, there were commuter trains that went from Kirkwood to St. Louis so that you could work in the dirt and smoke of the city and come home to a tranquil, almost rural atmosphere. And the size of the lot is not what we find in the city either. This is over 1/3 of an acre. And it's a 3-bedroom home that's situated here. It's a very typical 1890s floor plan, kind of L-shaped. Very similar to the home on, I believe that was on 5th Street in St. Charles that I did the video on. That one was a brick home, but you'll probably see some similarities in the floor plan. We have a beautiful wide front porch here. And very shaded. We have lots of shade trees in the area as well. This direction is facing east, so it does keep the afternoon sun out of the front porch. Coming inside, there's two front doors on this house. This one goes into the larger room, which is the living room. It's a really large room here too. And I wanted the ability to show you this door. Again, I'm always a fan when they restore the transom and transom hardware and keep the original millwork. On this door, we have another little fun touch. A rotary doorbell. No wires, nothing to break, and works so nicely. Luxury plank flooring on the floor. We do have wood windows with the original rope hardware. Not sure if these are original, if they may have been replaced sometime in the house's history. Could have been in the 1910s or 20s even, but they're in good shape. We have some history here. The original plat document. Well, a survey showing where the plat was. And then history on Kirkwood and the previous owner who lived here. He may have been the one that built the house, or maybe he was just an early owner, but he was a conductor on the railroad, hence Kirkwood's railroad history. So a little bit, something neat to see there. Again, we have very large, very high ceilings here, as well as the large windows. So good ventilation for hot St. Louis summers. You can see we have the other door with a transom here. So it would be easy to get good through ventilation to every direction, which is why this floor plan was quite popular in its day. This would be the dining room, probably. And then we're coming into the kitchen. Ceramic tile on the floor. Nice range of kitchen cabinets. Broken down into zones. The cooking zone behind us. Washing up zone here. And pantry and storage zone on the rear wall. Lots of space in this kitchen. Again, more original detailing. This would have been the original back door. And then we're coming out to this room, which is probably, it probably would have been a screen porch or something back in the day. Or just a porch. Coming outside, you can just see this amount of land that you get here, which is nothing short of incredible to have a yard this large. At least this close in. Again, it's fully fenced. And there's a more recent garage addition. Although when I say more recent, I'm probably speaking the time when Model Ts came out. So it still wouldn't be, because this is a little single car garage. Looks like it was built probably in the 20s, 30s. And so it could be useful if you decide to extend the driveway all the way through this other gate here. Or probably much more useful today to use for a lawn tractor, because there's such an amazing amount of space here. And you can see this rear addition is 2 stories. Once we get upstairs, I'll show you another secret of this house's history. This porch here is actually now being used for the laundry area. You can see the connections here. And that's useful because, like many of these houses, it wasn't built on a real basement. It has more of just a little cellar to hold the furnace and water heater and whatnot. And that was quite common in these, because people in 1890, in a house like this, you hand dug the basement, and you wouldn't dig a full perimeter foundation if you could help it, unless you had a lot of kids that you wanted to keep busy and out of trouble. Here we have the handrail. You can see the original style of the wood spindles on this. And coming upstairs, we have 3 bedrooms and a bathroom. First bedroom through here. This room has a painted wood floor. It's a pretty good size for an extra bedroom. Now, this floor is just essentially what would have been rough wood, not meant to be displayed. It would have been meant to have like a carpet or oilcloth or something nailed down on it. Next, we have the primary bedroom. This is a quite large bedroom. And I think there is even scope in here. It's large enough that a primary bathroom could be added without compromising its utility too much. And that would be a good addition. We have the bathroom here. Again, nice tiled shower. Modern steel tub. Toilet and vanity. And then coming in here, we have the 3rd bedroom. Now this one's a little bit smaller, but unlike some of the houses in the city we've been in, it's still a usable bedroom. You can actually get a bed in here. Probably even a double bed fairly easily. It does have the hatch up to the attic in there. But this is the room I wanted to show you because it's the best example I've seen thus far. So coming out into this 2nd floor of the addition that was built, there's a few things that give away its previous use. You can see we have a beadboard ceiling, as was used in porches at that time. And then these walls are siding. as is the rear of the house here. Now, this is something that people sometimes think, oh, the room is leading on these old porches. And that was actually oftentimes intentional. When you look at the siding, the lap boards here, you can see they were actually built to the slant of the floor over 140 years ago. And you can see there is what would have been a water drain. So this originally was the sleeping porch. In the summer before air conditioning, this was what the entire family would sleep on cots when the house just got too overwhelming and oppressive to sleep in. So again, now it's presently used, looks like an office, and very useful for that. Has a vent here, which was added later. No doubt that would not have been there because you wouldn't want heat in a sleeping porch in the summertime. And it does give a nice feeling, the ability to sleep and get breeze from 3 different directions, basically, and it just doesn't hold the heat. So that would have been what makes these old houses livable, even before the days of electric fans, let alone air conditioning. So we come back down, show you a little bit more of the staircase from this direction. Another window up here. And I will end us back in the living room. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and let us know if there's any other types of houses you'd like to see. Thank you.